Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be creating a little pair of wrapped yarn rainbow earrings. And so here are a couple of examples of the finished project. These I have attached the earring wires to. These are Martha Stewart styles set up for showing you the step where we add in the earring wire and the jump ring. And so let's get started. You're going to need a lot of things, but maybe you have some of these things in your home already. A pair of scissors, a comb. You also are going to need some jump rings and a pack of earring wires. Both of these I purchased at Hobby Lobby, and when they're in their 50% off week, they are $1.99 or $1.50, and there's a lot of them in there, so it's a great price. You'll need cotton yarn, and they do have this at Walmart and Hobby Lobby in assortment of colors. It's like $1.77 at Hobby Lobby and $1.99 at Walmart. And I have these in a rainbow of colors ready for today. Also a pair of jewelry pliers that has the snip on the inside to cut some wire. And then we also will need some wire, and this is to give form to the outer curve of the rainbow so it keeps its form. And then the last thing we are going to need is some thicker cotton cord, and this is in the macrame section, and we will be using this to, I think I like that even better, and this is to give sort of form or body to the inside of the earring so that it takes up a little more space. I have my finger here kind of marking what is 4.5 inches, and that's the size that I have determined that I want the outer arch of my earring to be. You're going to need to create, I'm so sorry, my parakeets are noisy. They're in an argument. You're going to create 2 sets of rainbows, and each side of your rainbow is going to have 3 curves to it. My outer curve is going to be 4.5 inches for mine, and so there is no harm in making 6 at 4.5 inches, because then we're just going to trim it at the end anyway. So you may also want to have a ruler with you. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to give it a little snip here. And so this is one of my outer curves. Shh, Chiquita. Fuerte. Okay, so we're working up 6 of these. So there is 1 and 2 and 3. So that's for one of my earrings. And then I'm going to work on my 3 for my other one to create a total of 6. So approximately 4.5 inches. You could make yours smaller too if you don't like a big statement earring like I do. After I made my pair, I got so many compliments on them, and so I thought that it would be nice to create a video about how to do this for you. And look at that. It's just about perfect. This one's a little bit smaller, but the inside curve of your rainbow is going to become a lot smaller in the end, so that is okay. All right, so the next thing we are going to do is cut a piece of wire for the outside curve of our rainbow. And so you're going to need 2 pieces of wire for this part. So I have mine separated into warm and cool colors, like think the start of the rainbow and the end of the rainbow, but you're not limited to rainbow colors here. Just as a reminder, you can use any colors you like. Maybe you want to use like a mauve and a cream and a lilac sort of color. You could even throw in some metallics. I always like to research different ideas and then come up with a solution. So you could do different colors as well. But the outer curve is the only 2 pieces that are going to have wire in it. So the wire needs to be a little bit smaller than the length of the cotton cord itself. So I would say that that piece of wire is approximately 4 inches long. And you could even make it a little bit shorter. It's just so that it holds the body, so it gives some form to the earring. So I'm going to cut another piece here in front of you. So here's my little roll of wire. I also purchased this at Hobby Lobby. It's over in the jewelry section on the far right side. It is in the area where they have the on a cord line. And this goes half off too in the alternating weeks. So I'm going to use that as a measuring guide. And I'm going to take my wire cutters here and I'm going to give it a little snip. And now I have my other length of yarn or other length of wire, which is perfect. Okay, now we are set up to working up our first color. So I've decided that for the purpose of our work today that we are going to be doing the rainbow, but once again, you could use any colors that you would like. I'm going to put this other piece of wire off to the side and we are ready to get started. I've done this in a couple of different ways. You could determine what way works best for you. You can take some either masking tape or Scotch tape and you can attach this little piece of wire right onto your cotton cord. That way, as we start to wrap, it makes it a little bit easier to keep it in place. We could also try like a dot of hot glue in there just to get it kind of set on there so that it doesn't kind of wiggle as we wrap. That's the solution I'm choosing to do right now. Or you could certainly just wrap around it without doing any of those things. And we can start by tying it on and it will stay just as well. All right, so I'm going to put a little dot of hot glue. I'm doing an experiment with you today. I've never done the hot glue version, but I want to give that a try today just to get the wire kind of set in there. All right, so I have my hot glue gun right over there, and I don't know if you can see the tiny little dot of hot glue that I've put on there. It's a low temp glue gun, so if you have art teacher in hands like I do, your hands will be nice and strong and will withstand the temperature of the glue even if it is a little bit warm. Okay, so now what I like to do, now that that's kind of secured there just a little bit, is I have been doing kind of laying the yarn under my cotton cord and then tying it. And so just giving it a little tie to kind of start my work. And so you want that to be right before where the wire starts. That way the wire doesn't poke out. And then I actually want that tail to be on the inside here, so I kind of wrap over it. I want to see if putting the light on is a little bit better. I think so. Okay, so now what we want to do is tightly wrap this yarn around our cotton cord and the wire, keeping it really close as you wrap around and around so that we block what is sort of our armature here and our little earring sculpture. So we're kind of camouflaging what is under it. I think that once you get pretty good at these work up super fast and they can make really great gifts. For people, I love making gifts and sharing my love of art with others, and they really appreciate it too. Okay, I have a knot in my yarn, and that is no bueno. I certainly don't want a knot in my earring, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to get that out and not take up too much of our time. So I might just go with it, pull it a little tighter so the knot is not so obvious. Another thing that I like to do as I'm wrapping is I like to sort of condense the wrapping just to make sure that it is nice and tight, and also to make sure that there's none of the color of the cotton cord showing through. I think they're enjoying my company. Okay. They want to have their voice heard in the video too. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm nearing the end here. Woohoo! And so there is the little kind of piece of the metal showing through, and I want to make sure that I cover that up. And so what I've been doing is kind of making my loop again, and then just creating a tie here to kind of end it off. You could use an adhesive like hot glue, but that's a little more obvious on your knots just to make sure they don't unravel. Or you could use something like an E6000, which is kind of like a multi-purpose adhesive, which can be used in jewelry. You just want to make sure that you use that type of glue in a well-ventilated area because it does have a super strong odor to it. So I just created a knot here, and I'm just pulling it super tight. I did fail to mention that at the end of this, we're going to be sewing to attach all of these little guys together. And so that can also help to secure some of your knots so that it doesn't come undone. All right, so here is my first one. And so now when we go on to our second one, we do not have to put wire in it, because the outer curve of our rainbow already does have its wire there. Now moving on to our next color, we are ready to work with orange. And kind of starting your knot down here. That way you have approximately the same length of fringe on both, and then keeping your tail on the inside and wrapping all the way to near the end. I'm going to show you how you determine. Never a dull moment over here, I tell you. Okay, I am going to actually create the curve because I want to show you how you figure out how big to make the second one. Okay, so there's my first little arch, and I formed it into my little curve. Now I'm going to keep wrapping here because this one does end up being a bit smaller because it's fitting inside of that first curve. And wrapping and kind of condensing as you go. I put a blanket on them to see if it would calm them down. I'm not sure if it is going to be successful or not. Okay. Condensing and wrapping. And you can always check it to see. So you want to see that it starts at the same point as the neighbor. And so we can see that we have just a little bit more to go in this curve to end off our orange. If you end up making it a little bit too long, you can always just pack it together like we've been pushing it along. Look at that. It's absolutely perfect. Do you see that the start and the stop are exactly where I need it to be? Wonderful. Okay, now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut this one as well. Pulling the tail through, condensing it down, and snugging it up. So there's our second one. He looks really good. You can trim your tail off here. And we'll save the trimming on this end here to do at the end. Ready for yellow.